Hello, everybody, and welcome to Boston Balling. I'm your host, Gabby Hurlbut. Happy Tuesday. Hope everyone's off to a fantastic start to the week. Been a little bit of a crappy weather here in Connecticut the last couple days. I don't know about where the rest of you are, but it's a little bit of a bummer. But I love the fall. I love this time of year. There's a lot going on in the sports world between the World Series, NBA and NHL just started. NFL's really amping up now. Even the World Cup is starting soon too, so that's very exciting as well. So we're in a great time of the year for sports. This is always my favorite time. There's a lot going on, so I'm really excited to bring you another episode of the show. I have a really special guest with me on this episode. Super talented, does a lot of Boston sports coverage for 98.5 The Sports Hub. Joe Murray, how are you doing today?
Hey, Gabby, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate you hopping on, and I love that you're repping the Red Sox right now.
Yeah, this is because I woke up early, but I did Patriots postgame last night,
Oh.
and I'm sure you can tell I still really haven't recovered from the night yet. So, yeah, switched over to the old Red Sox shirt as I'm seeing Rafael Devers news across the socials today. But yeah, it was a tough night last night for the Pats.
Hey, yeah, I definitely don't blame you with the Red Sox repping their shirt because there might be some positivity in terms of hopefully there's, some progression going on with that Devers extension. We can only hope. So we'll see. I've been following along on Twitter just to see what else breaks on that. I don't think they've really made a ton of progress yet, but I know that they said that it's a priority. So fingers crossed on that.
Oh well, hey, listen, it's the Red Sox, so they'll take it down to the very last minute, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're gonna kill all of us with the suspense of it, and then they're gonna make us wait, and they're gonna drag it out, and then hopefully they can work something out.
Yeah. Now they just need Devers to say yes,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because we'll see what happens with Bogarts and the rest, and it's fun. It's so funny. Like I've forgot about the Red Sox. Patriots is everything. Bruins just started. Celtics are going, and the little hint of Red Sox stuff of positive news is what they really, really need. Like they need positive news because right now Dave Dombrowski and Kyle Schwarber, they're in the World Series and against the Astros, a team that they lost to in the playoffs last year. Just a lot of ties to the Red Sox, so any positivity right now is good for them.
Yep, I absolutely agree with you. It's going to be an interesting World Series. I'm excited to see how that plays out. It's unbelievable just to think about what Houston has done really over the last few years and just the team that they've built. There's just so much talent on that team. And, hopefully the Red Sox can strive to build that one day too. But that Houston team is just tough.
Yeah, they're probably an all-time team. Like when we think back, we're going to say those Houston teams were
Oh,
great.
yeah.
But now's the time where if people really do dislike the Astros and the cheating and the sign stealing and you name it, now's the time for like everyone to kind of get together and root for the Phillies. Like
It's true. It's so
just think
true.
about this: the Phillies fans are some of some of the most passionate in the world. People say it's a really tough place to play. They went and gave Bryce Harper the biggest contract ever, and
Yeah.
they went and got Dave Dombrowski, who's only one World Series. So
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, exactly. It's
and now they get a chance to put out the Astros fire. Like, yeah, maybe that will be more exciting than the NFL season has been so far.
honestly, that Bryce Harper home run the other day, I saw that and I was like, this is exactly why they're paying him what they're paying him for moments like this, for him to step up and send them to the World Series. What a cool moment for him and for that fan base.
Yeah, he's getting paid very well, but I'm glad to see that a big payment or a big signing has led to their success. You said you were excited. That's who he is. He's one of the guys that gets us out of our seat to watch every single night.
Yep. Yeah, that Phillies team is fun. I'll be rooting for them. I'm sure a lot of baseball fans as a whole will be rooting for the Phillies. It's a hard team to root against in this postseason, I will say, unless you're a fan of another team in their division.
That's right.
But yeah, I appreciate you hopping on the show with me. I know we kind of talked a little bit briefly before we started recording here just about how frustrating the Patriots loss was last night against the Bears at home. The Bears just played a better game in all facets of the game is really what it came down to. I mean, offensively, defensively, special teams, they just looked cleaner. They looked a lot more prepared than the Patriots did. And obviously, that defense was just tough to watch all game. But I did want to get your input before we dive a little bit more into just some of the current happenings with the Patriots, just kind of your overall thoughts on how the season has gone so far. Are they kind of about where you expected them to be at this point in the season before the season started, or what were you kind of thinking going in?
That's a good question because early on, so I thought they would win under 9 games. One thing I do on my show, on one of my shows, is we do sports betting. Well, what they do is they set a line. Do you think the team's going to go over or under a number? And the number was 8.5. So I thought they'd go under 8.5. So they have 3 wins right now. They're 8 games into the season. It's going to be tough. Can they do it? Absolutely. So are they where I thought they would be? I'm actually very disappointed today. Last night's game was everything. I mean, it had it all. It had the drama of the quarterback and Mac Jones coming back. It showed his struggles. It showed the play calling struggles once again. And then who peeks their head out? It's the terrible defense that we saw in the Bills playoff game a year ago. So that's where I'm concerned. The vibe of last night was last season, no communication, which I'll get to in a second here, because I have some interesting tidbits on last night's game that is slowly leaking out. I was up all night. I talked to Greg Bedard and some others who were in the locker room last night. And there was a lot of communication issues. The other thing is Devin McCourty said that they never saw some of the design plays the Bears were running. And the other thing is this. Running the football. So, I know they stink, and Justin Fields has been bad, but, you gave up 240 yards on the ground to a team can run the ball. So why did you stay in zone all night and not go man-to-man? There's a lot of questions here, and I think it all starts with Bill Belichick, who named the coordinators, who still has his son and Gerard Mayo not named defensive coordinators. It's just, I thought for a minute things were clicking after 2 or maybe 2.5 games. The Bears should have been a layup of a win. Instead, they treated it like a preseason game, I feel. And now it even opens up more questions going forward than the momentum they had going into the Bears game.
Yeah, it was definitely disappointing because, like you touched on, I feel like over the last few weeks, they started to make it seem like they were coming together. It seemed like they were getting more comfortable with the play calling, and it just seemed like overall the team was starting to just improve a little bit more from how they started. And it just seemed like the vibe overall of the team was changing, that maybe they were getting to that turning point of, okay, this can be a good team. And I'm even thinking back to that game in Green Bay. I mean, yeah, they lost that game, but they looked really good in that game. And that's obviously a tough place to play. And they came into that game and they gave me a lot of hope after that game ended with how close they kept that game and how competitive they were. And now, granted, the Packers haven't exactly looked great this season overall either, but that was the type of game that I really thought that they had no chance to, be able to compete in, and they kept that game close. So I thought that was kind of the beginning of what was hopefully going to start the improvements of this season that we were going to hopefully see consistently going forward. And then the last few weeks, we saw it, obviously mowing over the Lions, mowing over the Browns. Games like that you look at and it's like, yeah, I mean, these are teams they should be beating, and they did. And I threw the Bears into that category too, as another game that they should have been able to play at home and be able to beat that team. And then you go into it, and there's so many questions, and people on Twitter confused as to what Bill Belichick was doing, what happened with that game, because they could not stop the Bears' run at all the entire game. And it was just crazy to see that there was just so much of a lack of communication and what just seemed to be a disconnect between everybody. And I have no idea what really took place there or how to fathom all that, because we have not seen the Bears do that against anybody this season. And you can't let a team like that just not even win a close game where you fall short, but completely like mow over you the entire night.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. And I used the vibe of Buffalo playoff game. It was bad. They never punted. And last night, I know the Bears punted twice, but come on.
Yeah.
They
I mean,
couldn't they couldn't stop them on third down, and just another thing about that is they never adjusted. They never blitzed Justin Fields. They was Matthew Judon, by the way, was immense. He was unbelievable last night. But no one else could help. They're Juwan Bentley's running down the field, not looking back at the quarterback running behind him. Like there is a personnel issue, but I think there's something internally going on with the New England Patriots. And when you win, things are good. But when you lose, things get leaked. One thing that you mentioned at home, the struggles at home are scary. This team struggles to win games at home. And this has nothing to do with Tom Brady anymore. Like Brady's been gone now for a while. Yes, they were the most dominating football team at home ever. But now other teams remember those days. They come in here and they're beating them. The mystique is over. It's gone. Coming into Gillette Stadium, it's over. So any type of home field advantage they've had, I no longer believe in it. But here's the meat of it, Gabby. They went with Mac Jones as the starting quarterback, getting first team reps all week long. So everybody seemed in-house to think that Mac Jones was going to be the starting quarterback. It came right up until game time when it got reported that he was.
Mm-hmm.
It
Because
seems
nobody knew if they were going to be rolling with him over Zappe until right before the game.
Before the game, Bill Belichick says Mac will. Then at halftime, when they pulled Mac Jones, they said they could see him again. Bill Belichick went with Mac Jones and pulled him. They're down 10-0. Bailey Zappe came in, gave them the spark. They got the lead. They give up 23 unanswered points. But no one else knew. It seemed that Zappe, Mac Jones, and Belichick knew the situation. There were a lot of players after the game. A lot of them. Jacoby Myers in particular. Read some of his quotes from yesterday. Michael Nwenu didn't even know who the starter, didn't even know what was going on. And then I mentioned the defensive things. If McCourty is saying these things, the captain, what else is going on in that locker room? The communication's bad. And I think Bill Belichick stepped in it last night. He's the greatest coach of all time. He could have passed George Halas last night for second most ever against the Bears. Again, the team that he coached. It was all set up, right?
Set up better for that to happen.
But am I wrong saying that they treated last night like a preseason game, which, it's unthinkable. Mac Jones in a 10-0 game gets pulled. I'm glad they did it because I defend Zappe for helping them and getting them back in and the motivation. And yeah, there were some things late that he couldn't control. In the end, it was the defense. I get it. But the confusion in the locker room and the communication, it's a problem today. If there's anyone who's going to fix it, it's Bill Belichick. But maybe they did look ahead to the Jets. Because last night, they did not look like a prepared football team. And in a way, I kind of feel like they disrespected the Bears big time. And the Bears rolled them over for it.
Yeah, I mean, when you say lack of communication, I mean, that's bad because that's something that definitely is preventable and can be fixed. And the fact that you have players who had no idea what the quarterback situation was going to be is just not okay because they need to know to be able to prepare themselves for that. And obviously, with us, with just fans who are following along, just trying to see who's going to be the quarterback is a little bit different. But if the team is saying that they didn't know, then that really shows that somebody didn't communicate something appropriately. And that's what needs to be fixed right now if they want to be able to have any sort of chance of contending and competing with, other teams, even their own division.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Can it get better? It absolutely probably will. It's Bill Belichick. He'll look at the league. Let's be honest for a second. Look at the league. There's probably 5 good teams. The rest of them, the Patriots can probably beat anybody on it. I really believe that. The Bills, I think, are on a different level right now, and the Chiefs are outstanding. And
those are the best 2 teams to me in the league right now.
Yeah, and the Bengals had their hiccups, but they're getting back on track. Like the NFC is, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. The Eagles right now, I don't know. But all I'm trying to say is, before last night, I felt like the Patriots could have beat anybody. And I don't know, just, it's huge. Like, I at my job, I like when my boss is transparent with me. I think we work better. There's better communication. These are athletes, though, whose like paychecks are on the line and reputations, and are they tough and are they not? There's been a lot of just confusion, I think, in that locker room all year long. And it really just seeped through last night. And the one thing I wish Bill Belichick did today was name someone the quarterback next week. There are betting odds out that came out, and they have Mac Jones as the favorite to start on Sunday. If I'm the Patriots, I either go back to Mac Jones and stick with him, or if he's injured, you don't dress him. And I think last night they made the mistake of playing Mac Jones. They probably should have played Bailey Zappe. Everybody would have been in, understood. Now there's a true QB controversy.
Yeah, I was going to ask what your thoughts are on that because obviously, the last few weeks it was, Zappe got an easy part of the schedule. He's just here to fill in for Mac until he comes back and Mac is fully healthy. And I feel like they were doing a good job of treading water without Mac, and Zappe was looking really good with that offense. I think the offense looked more together with Zappe. And I think it seemed like everybody appeared to be more comfortable with what was going on the field when Zappe was playing quarterback, as opposed to when Mac was playing prior to the injury. And it seemed to be a little bit more of a mess offensively. And then, going into last night's game, when we found out Mac was going to be the starter, I was like, okay, this could be a good test to really see what Mac can bring to the table relative to what we've seen from Zappe the last few weeks, because we all thought that the Bears shouldn't be a challenge. So that would be a good team to be able to bring Mac back into, to be able to compare the how Zappe's been doing lately as opposed to Mac. But looking at the quarterbacks right now, do you have a preference? Like, would you prefer to see one over the other start going forward?
All right, Gabby. So here we go. I've been on record saying that I don't think Mac Jones is the guy. And what I mean by that is I don't think he's Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, some of these great quarterbacks. He was the 4th quarterback selected a year ago, and guess who the 4th quarterback selected this past year was? Bailey Zappe.
Yeah.
So, I think Mac Jones has a high IQ level on the football field. I think he can read zones, second levels. He can identify, the mic, and he can look at a safety and know how to look him off, Intelligent. There are some physical things that I think are now becoming evident. Doesn't have the strongest arm. He's been fairly accurate, but this year, no. He does look to too many options, which when the offensive line struggles, he gets sacked. But he's made a lot of mistakes. And the last 10 games in particular, he's 3-7. Team record, 3-7.
Yeah.
They struggle to score points in general.
Yep.
Mac Jones is the problem with the team right now. He's turning the football over, and if there's anything you know about Bill Belichick, he doesn't want to play you if you're going to cost the team anything. So that's the real controversy here. Do they want to shrink the playbook and have the team be more successful by being limited? Or do they want to give themselves more opportunities with Mac Jones? Problem is, if he keeps turning the football over, they're going to be playing from behind every single game like they did last night. All last year, that's all they did was play from behind. I just think Mac Jones right now is regressing, but they need to believe in him and stick with him. So if you're asking me, I think he is their best long-term option, but the team seems to be rallying around Bailey Zappe, and the coordinators that he hired can do better with Bailey Zappe than they can with Mac Jones.
And I've been pretty open on Twitter recently just about how I feel like in general the offense can be more successful with Zappe as the quarterback. And I mean, this isn't as much of a knock on Mac per se, but more just that it seems like everybody seems more comfortable with what's going on. The players, the coaching staff in general just seems more comfortable with what's going on the field on offense with Zappe out there. And I think, when Zappe was drafted, some people were confused as to, first of all, why they were drafting a quarterback, because everybody was like, I thought we were supposed to be riding with Mac. And, Zappe coming in surprised a lot of people when he did come in and he looked as good as he did, I think, just from the start when we first saw him play this year. And I mean, even you could hear those chants from the crowd saying Zappe and wanting Zappe to come into the game early on in last night. And I was willing to wait a little bit and give Mac a chance to try to see if he can, improve a little bit and be more consistent. But then, after those first couple of drives, I had seen enough. I was like, all right, let's it's time to move on now. I think we all know that they should bring Zappe into this game. And then obviously he comes in and immediately executes a couple touchdown drives. And so that's when we were all like, okay, yeah, this is what we like. And I agree with you. I think that with the system the Patriots have right now and the coordinators that he hired to run the offense, which I'm not overall thrilled with, but if that's what we're going to roll with on offense, I do think that they are better suited to be successful with Zappe. And I don't think that it's necessarily a matter of, are we going to long term stick with Zappe? But I do think for right now, unless they decide to make some personnel changes, which I do think is going to be necessary in the near future, I think for now in this season, I do actually think that Zappe is what they need if they want to be able to succeed, because I don't think the coordinators are able to feel comfortable with the offense that the team is trying to run that works for Mac. I just feel like as of right now and what they're trying to do right now in this situation, I think Zappe is the guy that's going to help them get to where they need to be.
Absolutely. And just a couple more things on the quarterback situation. I really do wish Bill Belichick picked a guy and went with it, and everyone just, that's it. This is what I'm doing. Go with it. From what I gather, there has been some discussion on maybe what Bill wants and what the coordinators want. I do post game for the Patriots, and we had Greg Bedard, who was at the game. He works for Boston Sports Journal. He was there talking to players, talking to other media people, and that's why I think something last night was funny. Like Bill Belichick sharing info to ESPN.
Yeah, like when does that?
like think about this for a little bit. Like he only told those two guys, but like all the players are like, "What's good?" It's fishy. All I'm saying is it makes me think. The reason this is why I bring up Mac Jones is a fine football player, right? He can run the offense. He can go 3 wide. He's tough. Does he struggle to make throws? Absolutely. A lot of guys do. Okay. Was he drafted 15 and fell in the draft right to the Patriots? Absolutely. They needed a quarterback.
Yep.
Does he need more reps? Yes. Can the team afford to let him make mistakes and develop and have guys keep their jobs and make the playoffs? I think that's what they're battling with. Because I think there are some guys who like, this is what's best for the team. I think there are some teammates that might even feel that way too. So it's kind of like the guy that they drafted in the first round that they liked, who went to a Pro Bowl. Well, he got booed off the field last night.
Yeah.
Not to mention embarrassed in a game a year ago where they let him throw the ball 3 times on national television.
That was crazy. Yeah.
So he's been booed off the field. He got embarrassed a year ago. they give him some sort of clown offensive coordinator, right? I mean, it's like kind of, in a way, I kind of feel bad for the kid because I
Yeah.
think they it's like, yeah, Mac, yeah, you got all, yeah, we give you this guy, all the excuses. The line stinks, right? They don't have the weapons, the coaching staff. But when Bailey Zappe came in, none of those problems happened. So
Yeah.
I hope people don't think I'm like personally
Yeah.
picking on Mac Jones. I'm just giving you the actual stats. He's been regressing, and I think they see it. And they need to win games. Like Robert Kraft said, he wants to make the playoffs. Like at this point, they're not. They got the Jets on deck, the Colts, the Jets, and then the Vikings on Thanksgiving, and then the Bills. It doesn't get any easier. I think they need to make a decision on who the quarterback is. And
Well,
I think they need to
that's why
stick
it
with
was
it.
imperative to win. That's why it was imperative to win games like last night, because now you have harder teams up on deck on the schedule. And obviously, the Jets are having a good start to their season too. And it's like, and obviously every time they play teams in the division, those are tough games in general. But you look at the schedule and it's like you can't lose to a team like the Bears and then go into that portion of the schedule. So that is another thing that makes last night even more disappointing, because going into the game, like we said, that should have been a winnable game, and it was going into it. But then, like you said, I don't think that they took the Bears seriously, and that's almost insulting to them and their team and their organization. And
Yeah.
Justin Fields was like, "Don't mind me, I'm just going to do my thing," because the Patriots don't seem to care.
Well, it's also like, well, they can't stop it. So, and they're not adjusting. And that's one thing I really wanted to bring up. Like, if I could bring you back to that Bills game in the playoffs last year,
So bad.
how many times did they just throw to Miles Bryant's guy? Like, just, hey, Miles Bryant's over there. And it's like, hey, can you get someone to cover this McKenzie guy? And so last night it's like, hey, are we gonna get anybody to like tackle the quarterback? Like,
Honestly, like, hello.
how about like you kind of put a man on him, so you play man, so he actually has a guy. Justin Fields is, I'm telling you, he's an immense talent, but he's been poor. I mean, he has not been good. But again, he's been running the football very well. Herbert ran the ball well. Montgomery. That's why I'm surprised. Like, you take that away and you let them throw, and they never adjusted all night. I do want to just bring this up. I think it's fair to say that when Mac got pulled and Zappe came in, I was shocked. Literally was shocked. I couldn't believe that they did it.
You thought Max
And then
was
he
going to
throws the
play the whole
touchdown.
game?
Yeah. I mean, he's down 10-0. When do starters get pulled down 10-0?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think I had a feeling he might have been on a short leash before the game
okay,
started.
fine. Zappe comes in, throws the touchdown. It's wild. I mean, think about it. That 10 minutes of our lives was the best part of the season. And now it's gone. Like, we had 10 minutes of holy crap, right? It's gone. It was like for 10 minutes, whoa, and now it's like all over. So that's how I feel like everyone feels today. Yeah, for 10 minutes, man, it was really awesome. And then
At least we have those 10 minutes to look
but
back
that's
on.
what I'm trying to say. Like, those 10 minutes, some of the greatest 10 minutes in Patriots football since Tom Brady's been here. And that's really sad, because now your first round pick stinks, and the other guy to back him up, well, he turned into a pumpkin after that. So in the spirit of Halloween, it was not good last night.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, I do, your point that you made about how they need to pick a quarterback and stick with it. That's so true, though, because the last thing that you want to see them do is continue to try to switch between these two quarterbacks, or just say, okay, we're going to play Zappe here and then play Mac here, because I don't think that's going to help solve any of the problems. I think if you're going to pick a quarterback, you want to ride with that quarterback and try to adapt accordingly and basically adjust your offensive game plan accordingly based on who that quarterback is. I would like for that quarterback to be Zappe. I think he's been a pleasant surprise since he's shown that he came in. Obviously, it was a rough night for everybody last night, him included. I do put more blame in the defense, though, however, but I think, and obviously everybody was involved with the coaching staff, just everybody, the miscommunication. So I think overall, just as a whole, the game was just a mess in general. But I would like, if they did pick somebody, I would like for that quarterback to be Zappe. I know there are people who disagree with me because they say, Mac is the future regardless. We need to stop hating on him. Like, he is our guy. But is he really, though? Because, I mean, I've already seen some comparisons of, the Bledsoe versus Brady situation where is Mac Bledsoe and Zappe's Brady. And I'm like, it's way too early to make those.
Can I bring something up that's actually happened though? Like,
Yeah.
Dak Prescott was out, right? And
Yeah.
Cooper Rush came in, and here we go. They won games, and
Yep.
last week they were down 6-3 at halftime.
Yeah, I was like, wow, the Cowboys offense, my gosh.
But did Mike McCarthy go back to Cooper Rush?
No.
No, Dak came in and won the game.
Yeah. Yep.
What happened last night?
No, I know. Yeah. So you feel like since Mac started the game, he should have kept Mac, had him play the whole game.
I feel like we should talk this out because you know how many people are going to ask you today, hey, what do you think about last night? And you're gonna have 5 different feelings by the end of the day.
Yeah, everybody's
But to really talk this out, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. If Mac was ready, he should have played the whole game, and that's just the way I feel. I never played at the pro level. I played sports my whole life, but I think what they should have done was just brought Garrett Gilbert up to be the backup. Ride Zappe one more game. And then it's Jets week. And if Mac's ready to go, he's your guy and you're all in. I don't think it would have been a controversy if Bailey Zappe won the game. Because if Belichick just comes out and just transparent, hey, Mac's our guy, he's back, he's healthy. Bailey did a great job and he'll be ready to go. We'd all buy it. We'd be like, all right, Bill, whatever you say, sir. Now we're like, well, now I'm like, look at these numbers on Mac Jones. They're really, really, really bad. And then people are going to say, oh, yeah, how about Zappe now? How many balls got batted at the line? Like, he set him, he really stepped in it. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, I do wonder. I mean, I want to see how the rest of this week unfolds and see if before that Jets game, he comes out confidently and says, this is our guy, this is who we're playing and who we're riding with. I think if they end up saying, Mac is our guy, which I do think is likely, I don't really see him deciding to start Zappe over Mac if Mac is fully ready to go, then I think that he needs to just say we're riding with Mac and then hope that Mac can obviously stay healthy the rest of the season. And then we all just, root for Mac to succeed. But I think he kind of caused more of a controversy by what happened last night. And I feel like prior to last night, people were like, yeah, we really, really like what we've seen from Zappe. But I think the majority of people were also under the understanding that Zappe was just an interim until Mac does come back. And I don't think there was really a question of, oh, when Mac's healthy, is Zappe going to play over him? Now it almost looks like Bill is kind of questioning whether he is fully confident in riding with Mac, even if he is healthy, and everybody's even more confused.
How about this? I wouldn't say Bill's questioning anything. Bill isn't answering anything. And he says things, and then it's like, well, dude, you just said that. So yeah. I think they have to bury the football. I think they can win this weekend. I do. The Jets are hurt. Breece Hall's out.
That's a big loss for them.
Their best offensive lineman, Tucker's out. Zach Wilson hasn't been great either. So the more I think this is a winnable game. I think it's going to be Mac Jones under center. The betting line right now, 1.5. The Patriots are favored going into New York. So think about this. The Patriots off a loss on a short week are going to New York against a 5-2 football team. And the Patriots are the favorites.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I think the Jets as of right now, where they stand right now, aren't necessarily as good as what that record reflects. I think they are more about where the Patriots are at. I think they just got off to a better start than the Patriots, but I do think head to head, they're not a vastly better team than the Patriots, and I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout like last night was either direction. I think the Patriots hopefully will take what happened last night and really feel more prepared for this game, but I think they will because, like you alluded to earlier, they might have been already thinking about this game before last night's game even took place. So I do think they'll go into this game more prepared. Obviously, it's not a primetime game. It's just they're coming in on a regular Sunday, regular game time. And I think it'll be a closer game. So we'll see what happens. But yet again, we're on the path of those are the types of games that they need to be able to take advantage of and win. And I mean, I'm with you. I do think Mac is going to start. However, I think, a lot of eyes are going to be on him. And I think in terms of the trust among everybody right now when they're watching him is in jeopardy. And I think that
Whose
he needs
fault
to
is that?
really come out and perform this week if people are going to be feeling confident with him going forward.
So that you just nailed the topic. Trust. Who is it? Is it Bill that you're trusting in, or is it Mac? I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough.
I if you were like, hey Joe, who do you trust, Mac or Bill? I'm gonna be like, well, Bill probably. But like, do we?
Yeah.
I mean, for real, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I really, you're right. When Mac Jones gets in the huddle, hey, I'm gonna whatever fly, slant left. Is that really gonna be like is it gonna be on target? Is it gonna get tipped? Is it, now I think that's what's happened now. Some people have the Zappe fever, and the other have Mac. Jacoby Myers, I'm telling you, the comments he said after the game were, for the work ethic that Mac puts into this, he doesn't deserve it. This is coming from Jacoby Myers,
Wow.
who is going to be a free agent, by the way, has not been given an extension. How do you think he feels? He wants the best guy out on the football field, right?
Yeah.
So maybe he's clamoring Mac Jones. While Hunter Henry's catching passes and Ramondre Stevenson's turning on with that. This is what's been created. When you don't have a quarterback and you don't know what, Bill says, do your job.
Yep.
Or who's going to do the job?
It's tough. They're in a tough spot right now, and I think they obviously put it on themselves. It will be interesting. I will say this though. I will genuinely be surprised if they go into Sunday's game and say Zappe's the starter. Because then I think if they say Zappe's the starter, I think they're basically sending a message that they don't trust Mac enough and they want to ride with Zappe. And I think if they do say Zappe is the starter, then I think going forward, the expectation is going to be that they are putting their trust more in Zappe right now than they are in Mac, and they need to stick with that narrative.
Well, here's the other thing. What happens if they don't go with Mac and they go with Zappe? Does this kill any of Mac Jones' value now? Is drafting him in the first round another Bill Belichick draft bust? I mean, a lot of these things they happen here, and
I think there would be discussion. I think it would be a matter of if they do go with Zappe, there might be some of those discussions of, well, do we try to trade Mac and move him if we're just going to roll with Zappe going forward? I do think if they decide to start Zappe on Sunday, which I actually don't see happening, I do think they are going to start Mac. But theoretically, if they do say Zappe is the starter, I would not be surprised if those types of conversations start to emerge because people are going to be like, well, then do we really need Mac? Because I do think this upcoming Sunday's game is ultimately going to tell us what direction they want to go in. And if that direction is Zappe and he starts this Sunday, then I think people are going to be like, yeah, that means going forward, they trust Zappe more.
You nailed it.
It's interesting.
And that's why last night it was like, what? 2 guys? This guy. I mean, think about it. Of all the years, right? Like, no one's gonna replace Tom Brady, right?
No, we got spoiled
But
with him.
like at least like when Cam Newton was here, you could have tried it. Like hey, let Jared Stidham get some reps. Hey, let's see what he can do, right? And then
Yeah.
hey, we'll bring in Cam Newton around the goal line. Like it would have been genius. He would have done it. It would have been great. Now you're doing it with two quarterbacks. It's just makes no sense to me. Hey, real quick, who would you? The trade deadline is next week. Is there anybody you would trade to help improve this team?
That's a tough question, and I feel like that's a hard topic to address right now because we haven't had a consistent quarterback this season either, and so I feel like the people who are being utilized are a little bit different in a Zappe-led offense as opposed to a Mac-led offense, and I think this trade deadline is going to be huge for them because the quarterback decision needs to be made before that, because the offense is going to look different depending on which quarterback you take. I think that's going to then determine what they do at the trade deadline to fix this team, because there's so many things that are up in the air right now with that. And that's another big problem that I'm having is they need to know who they're going to ride with at quarterback before they can really make those types of adjustments, because the offense looks different. And so that's definitely a hard question to answer right now. I think by the time we approach Sunday's game and we know what direction they're going in, then I think some of those, that might become a little bit clearer. But this team is just, I just look at this team right now and there's just a big question mark, because you don't really know. And I do think obviously it is imperative that they know, because this Sunday obviously is going to be the game that determines that. And by doing that, I think they are really saying this is the guy that we see as our future. And I think people are going to be surprised if they say that that's Zappe, but I think it might be more of a pleasant surprise. Like, yeah, we like what we've seen from him, even though it's a small sample size with him. And then, I mean, who knows if they declare Zappe as the guy? Who knows if they would look into that option for Mac? And then if they go with Mac, I think there's other pieces that you can move. But again, the question becomes: does this team? What is this team going to do in terms of adjusting to be able to feel like they can be a playoff team this year? Are they going to rule themselves out to the point where they feel like they can't compete with some of the other teams in the AFC to be able to get a playoff spot? Or are they going to do what they can at the trade deadline to try to set themselves up going forward? But again, I think there's too many preliminary questions that throughout this week still need to be answered. So this is actually a really big week for me, for the organization, and being able to really figure out what they see themselves doing the rest of the season. And it is kind of unfortunate the way that this season has gone so far, because obviously some of it's been out of their control. But it's a tough place for them to be in at this point in the season.
I got two names that they could trade and maybe help on defense. Isaiah Wynn.
Oh yeah, he's a liability.
He didn't play last night at all.
I know, well, because he has not been good this year.
Yeah, but I just couldn't believe he was like. Here's the deal, right? He healthy scratch from what I gather. I don't think he was dealing with anything. Not a good look. And he's somebody that I would. Hey, last year of his deal. Is there another team that has a guy in the last year of his deal making money that can help on defense? I'd look into that. The other one's Damian Harris. Like now that Ramondre Stevenson's ascension, Harris, I don't think is going to get the contract that he deserves staying here. So would they dangle him out? And because I think he could give you some return. The other one's Kendrick Bourne. Again, didn't play. He's dealing with the turf toe right now. You can't move on from Aguilar because of his contract. So those are three players on offense that I think could help get you another linebacker, because right now they need someone on the other side of Matthew Judon to help. And it's not Uche. It's not Jennings. It's not Mac Wilson. It's not Giovanni Tavai. It's not Jawan Bentley. It's not Jamie Collins. None of those guys did the job last night. So they need somebody else at the linebacker position. And It used to be Dante Hightower, but he decided not to play this year.
Yeah, I know.
So
I miss him. That's a name that you think back to, and it's like, yeah, we definitely could use somebody like him this
Oh
year.
yeah. Oh yeah. But that's what I'm saying. You might have to give up something to get. They need a linebacker, and last night it showed. They need someone that can take on runs, that can tackle over the middle of the field. They have too many safeties on the field at once. Kyle Duggar left with an injury last night. Phillips has been banged up. McCourty's older. They need another guy, and they probably gonna have to give somebody up to get something.
Judon was the only person defensively who really did anything of value.
He's been unbelievable though.
Oh, I love him. Yeah.
But I can't remember a guy who's made this much impact. As far as a pass rusher, Mike Vrabel is really good.
Yeah.
They've had some, like Chandler Jones was a defensive lineman more than anything. So, but Willie McGinnis could do this too. There were guys that I don't think they've had a pure guy that can do what he does, and he tailed off at the end of last year too. So he's been consistent at least through seven games this year. But if I'm looking ahead and this team making a run, I think they need another linebacker.
Oh yeah, it's a must. It's absolutely a must. If they're really serious about trying to sneak into the playoffs this year, they need to address that. If they don't address that, they're not going to make the playoffs. It makes a difference. Damian Harris is an interesting name because I've thought about that too, because obviously his productivity has gone down because Ramondre Stevenson has just been, he's been having a really good season, which I kind of had a feeling that he would before the season started. I actually said something both on my show and on Twitter about how I expected Ramondre Stevenson to have a pretty big season this year, really productive season. So yeah, it becomes a matter of, do you feel like you need Damian Harris? And I feel like if I'm him right now and I'm looking at the increase in production from Ramondre Stevenson, I'm looking at it as like, this might not be the place for me anymore. Like I might not be getting the touches that I want to get, and I might not be able to contribute to what this team is trying to do anymore. So you almost wonder if they feel that way too. I have a hard time feeling like they'll part ways with him, but they might. I think again, this weekend's game is going to be huge because if they lose this weekend, which I mean, hopefully they don't, because I am with you. I think it's a winnable game and I think they can beat the Jets. But say they lose this weekend, it's such a different discussion that we're having than if they win this weekend, I feel like. And then it becomes a matter of, are they in too deep of a hole after this weekend based on the upcoming schedule if they do lose to be able to realistically feel like they can make a playoff run? It's tough.
Who are your playoff teams right now, though? It's the Bills.
Obviously, besides, the Bills and KC are givens. Yeah.
KC, looks like Tennessee right now.
Yeah. Yep. And then
the
I
Bengals.
Feel like, the Bengals probably will win their division.
And then I don't know. Like I literally, I think the Ravens.
The Ravens are, they actually, there's a little bit of inconsistency with them, but I feel like overall they look like a team that probably could get a wild card spot. I think, I think they're in a division where it favors them being able to get a spot because obviously, the Steelers are kind of in a rebuilding position right now. The Browns are just, we all know the situation with them. They're a bit of a mess right now too. So I think with the division that the Ravens are in, it kind of also favors their chances of being able to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm looking at the playoff bracket right now. And the AFC, Buffalo would get the bye.
Yep.
It would be the Chiefs, the Chiefs, Tennessee, Baltimore, the Chargers, the Jets, and the Colts. Who are the Patriots' next two opponents?
Yep, Colts and Jets. So those are huge games. Those are going to be huge games if they can pull together.
Wow.
The Chargers, that's another team I think that should definitely probably.
Think about this. I thought today I said it was a bad day. The Jets are in the playoffs.
I know.
The Jets are
I'm
in
saying.
the. It's
And like, I
laughable.
mean, let's not forget about the Dolphins either. I mean, that team is another team that's ahead of the Patriots right now too.
Wow. Wow. I, I just, I can't believe that just happened. I
I
told you,
mean,
I had my 10 minutes last night of Zappe fever, and I just got whacked with the Jets just now.
do you think that this team like should be making some personnel changes because I feel like that's completely necessary, not necessarily for the rest of this season, but maybe going into next season. I feel like the personnel changes is something that needs to happen here.
The draft, right? It comes down to the draft, right? I mean, it looks like Jack Jones is a guy, right?
Yep.
The Barmore was a huge loss last night.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so the draft has been better, but it needs to stay that way. And I'll just bring it up one more time. Everyone raves about the draft last year. How's that first round pick look if Mac Jones doesn't work out?
I know. I know.
So they got to draft well, and you know what? They already spent money. They can't. Kraft's not going to do that again. So it's all on Bill Belichick going forward. But
They were so aggressive with that when they spent money, so they're not going to do that again.
But you said what can they do? I mean, they have to look into a long-term fit at offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator.
Yep.
If it's Steve Belichick, name him the coordinator. If it's Matt Patricia, name him the guy. Just officially name these people, because right now it's Bill. That's the only guy that we can put all the blame on. But I think that's what's going on with the team. Hey, there's all these issues. I just think that Bill's the
Designating
main.
people to specific roles.
But we're all young. Like when we get jobs, we look up to our team lead. We look up to our managers. Like these guys look up to their coordinators, and then they're who are the coaching staff. They don't go to Bill. It's like my real life. I don't go to my big boss to like. I feel around. I'm like, hey, I asked the guy, hey, so do you think I could do this or not? Like, I work a real job in sales. You think I'm going to my manager to be like, hey, I'm going to ask somebody that might have a little more clout than me. You know what I mean? It's just, so these guys really don't know who they're reporting to. And I think it's a communication issue on the team.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see if that gets fixed because I feel like that could solve a lot of problems. And so we can only hope that that's what ends up taking place. Oh gosh, yeah. I don't know. Like I had a feeling that Josh McDaniels leaving was going to cause an issue too. I was like, I don't see this going well because obviously when you have Matt Patricia and Joe Judge calling plays and it just being what seems to be kind of a mess in terms of who's doing what, that's just detrimental when it comes to the on-field play, and it shows. And so I feel like hopefully they can just figure that out and just everybody understands specifically what their role is and who's doing what, because a lot of other teams have actual people dedicated to specific roles and it just makes for more cohesiveness on the field. So I'm hoping that they can figure that out because it's just not really a good look right now when you just have, all these people that are supposedly being involved with calling plays, and there's no really specific designations for people that are supposed to be doing different things. And I'm hoping that they can address that sooner rather than later.
I hope so. But I actually got excited on the season, and now I'm not. It was like I told you that 10 minutes line, that Zappe fever. And then it broke somewhere last night.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see how they address the trade deadline because I am curious as to what their mentality is going to be going into that deadline this year, what they actually do to adjust if they feel like they can really make a playoff run. Like I said, these next few games are against teams who ideally you can beat, but it's tough. I mean, the Jets, it's crazy to say the Jets are in a playoff spot right now, but not that I think they will end up making the playoffs, but It's
it's
not.
a shocker. Nobody saw that one. Nobody saw. I have one question for you before we go. I am a food connoisseur. I talk a lot of because sports and food, it all goes together. You're in Connecticut, so what do you say is the best pizza place? I guess Connecticut's the pizza haven of the world, they say. So, what would you consider your favorite pizza places?
Yeah, no, the pizza, New Haven pizza is awesome. So Pepe's is definitely up there. And I
Mm,
also really like Sally's. I'd say those are the top two pizza places in Connecticut. There's other like smaller local ones that are good, but I always recommend Pepe's in New Haven to people who are coming to Connecticut for pizza. I'm a big pizza person. I have had New York and New Jersey pizza. I think New Haven is better than both of those.
mm.
So people might get mad at that statement.
So real
But
quick, what's the difference? So I love Frank Pepe's. Oh, Frank Pepe's is like one of my favorites. Is around
that's
here.
great.
What's the difference between that and Sally's?
So it depends on your preference. Like the thin crust pizza is what I really, really like.
Mm,
Um, and so that's why I enjoy Pepe's because that thin crust is really, really good. Some people don't like that. So it really just depends on your preference there. But I mean, also honestly, like their sauce that they use, I kind of like a little bit better too. Um,
okay.
and I mean, I'm not a fan of pepperoni. That's really the only pizza topping I don't like. But I'll pretty much get anything else on my pizza. But both of them offer like a really good variety of
Okay.
um, you know, toppings that you can get on it. But I really like that thin crust pizza.
All right. Well, you would love the South Shore then, because the South Shore of Massachusetts is filled. They call it bar pizza. It's just filled with thin crust bar pizza all the way to the Cape. So you would love
Really?
it.
I'll
Oh
have to
yeah.
try it. I'll have to try it. Yeah, I love pizza.
Oh geez,
It's so
I
good.
had to give it up because I loved it so much. But Frank Pepe's though, I'll tell you, I've had it. I've actually one of the days that I've cheated. I've definitely had myself a Frank Pepe's. So I had to ask though. It's like the pizza capital of the world.
No, yeah, pizza is very, very good in the New Haven area. You just have to know where to go because some places are not good.
That's awesome. Well, we'll see what happens with the Patriots. Hopefully hopefully they'll try to compete with the pizza going forward.
Well, doubtful, but we'll see. It's definitely not feeling great after last night, but hopefully they redeem themselves this weekend. So crossing my fingers on that. I will be
Yeah.
in attendance at that
Ooh,
game. So
there you go.
hopefully they bring back a win for me being there.
Are you gonna taunt? Are you gonna taunt anybody on the field? Like, hey, Zach Wilson, will you have a rooting effort? Or will you have a rooting interest?
I
You'll be rooting
mean,
for the Patriots, I assume.
well, of course, obviously. Yeah, I mean, I'm not usually like that, but every once in a while, like, if I'm at a Red
Yeah,
Sox
you
game,
go into a game, you gotta let loose. I'm a season ticket holder for the Patriots. I can't go because I work the games, but
yeah,
if I go to a game, I'd tailgate all day and let loose and be a fan.
it's fun. Yeah, it's fun.
Yep.
It's really fun. It should be a good time, but hopefully it ends in them winning the
The
game.
the crowd should be intense. I mean, the Jets are in the playoffs.
Yeah,
they
right.
have
This
a
is
chance
something
to
that this
not.
fan base is not used to. So
They have a chance to beat the Patriots twice.
isn't
Think
that
about
crazy?
that. They could
So crazy.
they could eliminate the Patriots.
You know how much joy that would bring that fan base? A
Yeah,
lot.
they need it after the Yankees exit for
I'm so
sure.
happy about that, by the way. But yeah, no, my dad's not. My dad's a Yankees fan, and he likes the Giants, not the Jets.
Giants are rolling though.
Yeah, no, they're good.
The
They're good
only
this
team
year.
to beat the Patriots twice in a Super Bowl.
I know. Yeah, they ride with that too. They definitely ride with that. Every time I talk to Giants
Yeah, that's all
fans,
they got. And we're
yeah,
just like, yeah, well,
it
you
is
beat
what it
you,
is.
you got us twice. So, you never made it ever again. So
Yeah, right. That's all you have going. But I really enjoyed having you on the show. I really appreciate you hopping on.
thank you. I appreciate it. I had fun, and I'll have to check out that Connecticut pizza at some point at Sally's.
Yeah, definitely do. That place is fantastic as well. But everybody else, Hope you have a great rest of the week as well. Go Pats. Hopefully they redeem themselves this weekend. Fingers crossed there. But thanks for tuning in as always, and I will catch you all next time on the show.